Leave me and save yourself. The billionaire shouted. The single dad's decision changed everything. The billionaire's voice thundered through the collapsing warehouse, echoing against steel beams and choking dust. Leave me and save yourself, he shouted, pinned beneath the fallen debris as flames crawled closer. Any other man would have run after all. He was just a billionaire who barely remembered his employees' names. But the single dad standing before him wasn't any other man. He was someone who had faced life's storms alone. Someone who knew what it meant to fight for people even when no one ever fought for him. And in that split second, between life and death, the dad made a decision that would change both their fates forever. A decision that would expose hidden truths, unlock buried guilt, and rewrite the destiny of a man who thought money could buy anything except loyalty. This wasn't just a rescue. It was the start of the most unexpected bond of their lives. The night had been like any other, quiet, predictable, routine until a single phone call shattered everything. Daniel, a 36-year-old single father working as a nighttime security supervisor at the old industrial site, received an urgent alert. Someone had broken into the abandoned warehouse on the east side. Normally, he would have radioed the team and stayed with the cameras, but tonight felt different. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the thought of his daughter asleep at home, relying on him to come back safe. Whatever it was, Daniel grabbed his flashlight and headed out alone. The wind howled through broken windows, carrying the smell of rust and decay. As Daniel stepped inside, he heard a sound, something heavy shifting. Hello, he called out. Silence, then another thud. He moved deeper, unaware of the storm brewing above him. Just as he reached the center of the warehouse, he saw him, Ethan Cole, the billionaire owner of Cole Industries. A man who rarely set foot in his own facilities, especially not at midnight. Daniel froze. Sir, what are you doing here? But Ethan didn't answer. His eyes scanned the ceiling. That's when Daniel heard it, the groaning of metal, the splitting of wood, the unmistakable warning of a structure seconds from collapse. Move, Daniel shouted. The crash came like thunder. Beams snapped. Roof panels tore free. Daniel lunged toward Ethan, shoving him aside just as a massive steel frame plunged downward. Dust exploded everywhere. Flames sparked where electrical lines ripped free. When the debris settled, one thing was clear: Ethan was trapped. A large steel beam had fallen across his legs, pinning him to the ground. The fire spread quicker than either expected. Daniel rushed to lift the beam, but it barely moved an inch. Leave me, Ethan shouted. Go. You have a daughter you need to survive. I'll only slow you down. Daniel looked at him, stunned. Billionaires didn't talk like this. They didn't plead. They commanded. But Ethan's voice cracked with something more than fear, something like regret. No, Daniel said firmly. I'm not abandoning anyone. Not tonight. He tried again, heaving with everything he had, but the beam refused to budge. Smoke thickened. Heat pushed against them like a wall. Please, Ethan urged, his voice breaking. You don't understand. If you stay, we both die. Daniel wiped the sweat and ash from his face, his jaw set. Then I guess we both fight. And in that moment, for the first time in his life, Ethan looked at a man not as an employee, but as a human being willing to risk everything for him. The fire grew fiercer, roaring like a living creature determined to swallow everything in its path. Daniel's lungs burned as he tore at the debris. Every movement sent the warehouse groaning deeper into its own death. Above them, flaming pieces dropped like fiery rain. Ethan coughed violently. Why, he gasped. Why risk your life for me? I've never done anything for you. Daniel paused for just a moment. You're a human being, sir. That's enough, but there was more to it than that, and Ethan could see it in his eyes. Something personal. Something painful. You've lost someone, Ethan whispered, wincing as the beam pressed harder into his leg. Haven't you? Daniel didn't answer. His silence was enough. Seconds later, another crash shook the building. Sparks flew. A wave of heat pushed them back. Daniel shielded Ethan instinctively, his arms forming a barrier. Stop, Ethan shouted. You have a child. Think about her. Daniel's jaw tightened. I am thinking about her. Ethan frowned through the smoke. How does risking your life help her? Daniel finally spoke, his voice low, steady, and heavy with memories. My wife died because no one helped her. People walked past like she was invisible. I swore I'd never be that person. Not ever. If someone needs help, I help. That's who I want my daughter to see when she grows up, a man who doesn't run. Ethan stared at him, the truth hitting him harder than the beam crushing his leg. He had spent his whole life surrounded by people who only cared about money. But this man, this single dad, was risking everything for him, without a single reason tied to wealth. Suddenly, the fire alarm screeched. Sprinklers sputtered uselessly. They were too old to function. The flames kept climbing. Daniel found a metal rod and jammed it underneath the beam. I need you to push with me, he said. Ethan nodded weakly. One. 2, 3. They pushed together. The beam lifted slightly, just enough for Ethan to drag himself free, screaming as his leg tore painfully from underneath the weight. Daniel grabbed him and hoisted him up. Lean on me. They staggered through the burning maze of twisted steel. More debris fell. The exit was only 20 feet away, but the flames blocked half their path. Heat blasted their faces. We won't make it, Ethan whispered. We will, Daniel insisted. Trust me, but then a final explosion shook the ground. Flames surged. The last support beam collapsed, blocking the main exit completely. Ethan sank to the floor. Defeated. It's over. Daniel looked around, frantic, until his eyes locked onto something, a maintenance hatch high on the walls, a way out, but it required climbing. And Ethan's leg was nearly useless. Daniel took a deep breath. I'll carry you. Ethan's eyes widened. You'll what? You heard me, and that was the moment Ethan realized. This man wasn't just saving his life. He was rewriting his own. Daniel knelt, positioning himself so Ethan could climb onto his back. The billionaire hesitated, pride warring with pain. But one look at the spreading flames forced his decision. He wrapped his arms around Daniel's shoulders, gritting his teeth as he lifted him. The heat was unbearable. Daniel's shirt scorched. His skin stung. But he pushed forward. Hold tight, Daniel murmured. Ethan did, step by step. Daniel climbed the shaky metal framework toward the hatch. Beneath them, the warehouse groaned, ready to collapse entirely. Sparks rained over Daniel's back, but he kept climbing, refusing to stop. Why are you doing this? Ethan whispered, barely audible. Daniel smiled slightly through the pain. Because someone out there needs you. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's someone you haven't met yet. But your life matters. And I'm not letting it end here. When Daniel reached the hatch, he shoved it open with his shoulder. Cool night air rushed in. Police sirens echoed outside. The fire blazed behind them like a monster angry it lost its prey. Daniel pulled himself out first, then carefully lowered Ethan through the opening the moment their feet hit the ground. Firefighters swarmed them. Medics rushed Ethan to a stretcher, but Ethan grabbed Daniel's hand with surprising strength. Wait, Daniel stopped. Ethan's eyes softened for the first time, stripped of power, pride, or wealth. No one has ever risked this much for me, Daniel nodded. Just glad you're alive. But the billionaire wasn't done. You said your daughter. What's her name? Lily, Daniel replied, confused. Ethan swallowed hard. Bring her tomorrow. To my office, Daniel frowned. Why? Ethan looked at him with a seriousness deeper than the night around them. Because I owe you more than thanks. And I owe her a father who comes home safe. Let me help you the way you helped me. The next morning, Daniel arrived at the billionaire's skyscraper, Lily's small hand in his. She stared wide-eyed at the marble floors and crystal walls. Ethan greeted them personally. Leg bandaged, crutches under his arms. Daniel, he said, from today onward, you're not just an employee. You're the new head of security for all coal industries, triple salary, full benefits, and a home allowance. Daniel's jaw dropped, and Lily, Ethan continued, kneeling despite the pain, your father is the bravest man I've ever met. I want to make sure he never struggles again. Lily smiled shyly and hugged her father. Daniel felt tears threaten his eyes. Sir, I don't know what to say. Ethan placed a hand on his shoulder. Just say you won't leave me behind next time. Daniel laughed softly. Never, because two men walked into that warehouse as strangers, but walked out as something closer to family. If this story moved you, like, share, and comment to support more powerful stories of courage, sacrifice, and second chances. Your engagement helps these inspiring tales reach more hearts.